Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is a cell phone. This is another cell phone. When you see this, you probably think of Snake. You know, Snake moving around. Imagine the Snake moving around. Anyways, you eating stuff, you're getting longer and longer. Anyways, how did we get here? How did we get to Plants vs Zombies, um, Angry Birds, Candy Crush? All the classics. How did we get here? Well, all this back to 1983 with the first mobile cellular telephone. That was on March 1st, 1983, with the Motorola Dynatac 8000X, and it weighed 2 pounds. You can only talk on it for 30 minutes, and it required 10 hours to charge. Yeah, why would you want to buy it? Anyways, you couldn't play mobile games on it. You could play mobile games on any cell phone that came out until 1994 with the release of the the Haganek MT2000. The Haganek MT2000. That's what changed it all for humanity. Now it had Tetris, not Snake, but Tetris. Yeah, that game, the Russian game. You can play it on that. Now the one everybody knows and loves, the Snake game. This came out on the Nokia 6110 in 1997, and it's very basic. You turn on the Snake game. Imagine there's a snake running around. Gets longer and longer as you teach more stuff, and that's just kind of how it does it really. Now 1999, a Japanese company known as NTT Docomo launched a service for Japan only, where you could download games onto your smartphone, and various video game companies developed games for these and allowed people to play them. Now by 2001, there was 20 million users. So 20 million users in Japan were using their cell phones, smartphones actually, to be more specific, to play a game because people were developing games for them. Now, Japan used to be the main producer of these games for a while. That's kind of how things were for a few years. There were really, besides Nokia, who's making like Snake 2, different variations of Snake for their later, Nokias. This brick, this thing survive anything. This is one of the models. This, anyways. Anyway, we all know this sort of Nokia survives anything. This will still be around after the bombs. If the bombs ever drop, if kaboom. Everything like, I don't know, the Russians, Chinese, North Koreans, this thing will survive the blast. I promise you that. Now, in 2008, right, the iPhone 3G was being released, and now it'll allow developers to develop apps for it. Now, when this began, 500 apps were available for download. A lot of these apps were games, and soon after, more and more apps were developed. A lot of these apps were games, and the games were the most successful products. Now, early on, you had to buy all of these games. They were all paid for. Paid a game, you buy a few bucks, then you would get the game. No in-app, but in October 2009, that's when they started allowing for in-app purchases. This was all changed. Now people began developing free games, as now they just charge, in the game, for in-app purchases. Now early ones who kind of got in on this were, first off, with Rio, whoever how you pronounce it, the guys who made Angry Birds. Now when they ported it over to Android, they made it free, but it was ad supported. You had to watch a bunch of ads, and it was originally paid for. Then another early one was Cut the Rope. Cut the Rope allowed you to play a few levels for free before we had to pay for the rest. And now, as this continued on and on, with the paid in-app features, and of course the ability to get ad support on your things, you have to you die to get more level, to get more lives, and stuff like that. That became a bigger thing as the years went on, and more mobile games being developed as it became cheaper and also more lucrative. As you have games like Candy Crush being developed. The port of Plants vs Zombies, which is probably where most people played. I played it on this thing I'm recording on. Back when I was like, I don't know what, 6 or 7? No, 5 or 6 probably. Yeah, I'm a long time gamer. Anyways, then there was the release of the iPad. And the release of the iPad in the mid 2010s created an even bigger market, as its main people were buying were for kids. So that was the main demographic. Children, parents were buying them for their kids. Like, here, look to me, you have an iPad. Stop, annoying me. Go do whatever. You stop bugging me. That was the main thing. So a lot of kids were getting iPads. Whole iPad thing came from. That's where the iPad came. That's where the whole thing of the iPad kid came from. And this led to a bigger market for games because kids like games. They like video games. Beeps, bloops, and stuff. So more and more people began developing them, and that's where we are today. Mobile games aren't the same. A lot of people say the mobile games aren't the same, which they're not. Um, as this market continued to expand, it also led to the development of casual gaming. It was farm simulator games. Farmville. Happy Farm. As you got a lot of people into them, as you got old people buying cell phones, middle-aged people, your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your uncle grandpa. Get the reference. Everybody. So mobile games help create the casual gaming market. As not really gamer games. Like your average regular person game. Like when you're bored or you're on a train. You're not gonna fill your calculator anymore. You inspire the Game and Watch. You're gonna play Farmville, or you're gonna play Angry Birds, or one of the many various farming games which I also probably played when I was like 6 or 7 because I like playing video games. Who doesn't like playing video games? And this led that market grew bigger and bigger, all because of mobile games and because of the development of the expanding market for mobile games because of your iPad and the cheap and lower quality and the cheapness of cell phones. Cell phones are cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I just don't have a cell phone, but everybody around me's got a cell phone. Well, I mean, not all my all like like 2 of my 4 friends have cell phones, but most people do not have cell phones. And this led to where we are today. Mobile games now, most of them are not very good. Most of them are junk, and because the market's oversaturated. Due to severe market saturation, this led to the decline in the development of mobile games, as most of the classic franchises have ceased producing games, as they've stopped making out games. Angry Birds isn't really much of a thing anymore. You got Angry Bird movie 2, and you haven't seen really much from Plants vs Zombies, but it's gone full console now. But as years gone by, these classics have gone away, and the oversaturation led to the depleted quality of these games, and that's kind of sad. But, maybe one day these games will get better. But for now, I gotta pretend I'm playing this game. I'm playing Snake because I don't have a cell phone yet. Just saying. Anyways, that's all I gotta say, folks. Bye. Have a nice time.